In this video we're going to talk about the creepiest missing person cases. Over the years, real-life mysteries have captured the imagination of many theorists online who have looked over cold cases to try and find a reasonable explanation. Often they are left with the question, how can this happen? Can someone really just disappear off the face of the earth without a trace? When someone can't be found, their loved ones can become confused and distraught. We as outsiders could assume they either don't want to be found or, even worse, there are more sinister forces at work. On rare occasions, those who are lost reappear months or even years later with an explanation, but this is not always the case. Here are 10 creepy missing person cases. 10. Jayme Closs. Jayme Closs was a 13-year-old from rural Wisconsin, who was kidnapped from her household's dwelling in the course of the nighttime, after a gunman sporting a black coat and ski mask broke into her home and killed her dad and mom. Her father was killed when he went to the door to see what was occurring. Her mom was killed after the intruder shot his manner into the locked restroom, the place Jayme and her mom had been hiding. The intruder tied Jayme and put her in his trunk. He then drove 20 seconds earlier than pulling onto a facet highway and turning off his automobile to cover from police who had been responding to Jayme's mother's 911 name. A large search was held for Jayme Closs and a reward was supplied. For 88 days Closs was held about an hour away from her hometown in Gordon, Wisconsin by Jake Thomas Patterson. Patterson pressured Closs to sleep in his mattress and conceal beneath his mattress when he had friends. When he left to run errands in the future, Closs escaped his home and located a neighbor strolling her canine and requested for assist. The neighbor acknowledged Jayme Closs from the information and instantly bought her assist. When approached by police, Patterson stated, "I did it." He stated he noticed Jayme getting off the bus in the future and determined to take her. Closs now lives along with her aunt and was given $25,000 reward cash for rescuing herself. Jake Thomas Patterson is now serving 2 consecutive life sentences for homicide, plus 40 years for kidnapping. 9. Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon. Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon went missing. Their skeletal remains were found much later. Kris and Lisanne were Dutch students who were volunteering in Panama when they disappeared. On April 1, 2014, the 2 girls began hiking the Alpinista Trail and were never seen alive again. Lisanne's backpack was found by a local 10 weeks later. Among much of the 2 girls' possessions, it contained both of their phones. Their phone records paint a scary picture. Within hours of the hike's start, both girls tried calling 112, the international emergency number, and 911, the local emergency number, but did not have enough service to get through. There are many of these calls over 10 days, though it appears Kris stopped calling after only 3, which many attribute to her having died first. Lisanne's camera also contained cryptic clues, with over 90 photos taken of almost total darkness and a few that show rocks, an allegedly makeshift trail marker, and the back of Kris's head, which many say looks to be injured. Whether the girls simply got lost in the jungle or were the victims of foul play, the details are still a mystery. 8. Jamal Ahmad Khashoggi. Jamal was a journalist residing in Turkey. He wrote for the Washington Post and was crucial of his dwelling nation, Saudi Arabia. On October 2, 2018, Khashoggi went to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to get paperwork to ensure that his upcoming wedding ceremony. CCTV recorded him getting into the constructing, however not exiting. He was by no means seen or heard from once more. In November 2018, the CIA reported that Khashoggi was assassinated on the orders of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. They consider on the embassy, Khashoggi was ambushed, suffocated, and dismembered by 15 skilled assassins. His physique could have been destroyed by acid. The United Nations holds the state of Saudi Arabia at fault for his demise. 7. The Jamison Family. All 3 members of the Jamison family disappeared in Red Oak, Oklahoma, on October 8, 2009, under a number of mysterious circumstances. Over 4 years later, their remains were found in the woods about 3 miles from their abandoned truck and were too decomposed to provide a conclusive cause of death. The Jamisons were in the area scoping out a plot of land for a potential new homestead. The first indication that they were missing was when someone discovered their abandoned pickup truck on the side of the road, absent of Jamisons but mysteriously containing their wallets, cell phones, IDs, around $32,000 in cash, and their family dog Maisie, who was thankfully still alive. Later, surveillance footage from the Jamisons' house was found and showed them on the day they last left their home, packing their car, their behavior described as trance-like. Theories abound as to why they went missing and how they died, including satanic cults, ritual suicide, and a drug deal gone awry. 6. Molly Tibbetts. Molly was a 20-year-old psychology main on the University of Iowa who was dwelling for the summer season in Brooklyn, Iowa. On July 18, 2018, Tibbetts went jogging and by no means returned. Her household reported her lacking the next day. She had dispatched her boyfriend a message on Snapchat earlier that she left for her run and he was the final individual to listen to from her. However, he was confirmed to be 2 hours away at work on the time she disappeared. Molly's disappearance was extremely publicized and there was a variety of public curiosity in her case. When police discovered CCTV footage exhibiting a Chevy Malibu driving by Tibbetts a number of instances throughout her run, they questioned the automobile's proprietor, Cristian Bahena Rivera. Rivera, 24, then confessed to kidnapping and murdering Molly Tibbetts and led police to her physique. A motive hasn't been established as Rivera's trial continues to be ongoing. 5. Brian Shaffer. Brian Shaffer was seen on a security camera entering a bar on the night of March 31, 2006, in Columbus, Ohio, never left the club on camera, and was never seen again. Strangely, there was no easily accessible entrance or exit to the bar other than that which the camera faced. If how he got out and where we went is a mystery. Shaffer is seen on the camera talking to two women outside the bar around 2 a.m., re-entering the bar and never leaving again. The camera shows that every single person who entered the bar that night also left, except for Shaffer. Suspiciously, Brian's friend William Florence, who was with Shaffer the night of his disappearance, refused to take a police lie detector test about that night. Most intriguingly, for months after Shaffer's disappearance, his girlfriend called his phone every night before going to bed. Every night it went straight to voicemail, except for one night in September, when it rang 3 times before hanging up. 4. The disappearance of Tara Calico. In 1988, 19-year-old Tara Calico left home in New Mexico on her pink mountain bike with just her Sony Walkman. It was her chance to get out in the sunshine and enjoy some fresh air before she was due to meet her boyfriend at noon to play tennis. Tara playfully told her mother before she left the house, "If you don't hear from me by noon, come look for me." This was the last time they ever saw her. Late that night, Tara had not returned and a frenzied search party was sent to look for her. As an adult, the police could not investigate the case as a typical runaway, but they soon changed the urgency when fragments of her Walkman were found broken by the side of a nearby road. Despite the exhaustive search, they hit a dead end. Then a year later, a Polaroid was discovered in a car parking lot at Port St. Joe, Florida, 1,600 miles away from Tara's home. The disturbing Polaroid featured a young girl and a boy tied together, laid on a bed with duct tape covering their mouths. Witnesses claimed this had dropped from a white van, but they could not see who was driving. The girl in the picture was identified as Tara, the boy unidentified, and was the biggest clue to this mystery, but once again investigators were stumped and still nobody knows what really happened to Tara. 3. Jennifer Kesse. Jennifer Kesse vanished on January 24, 2006. Her home was undisturbed, and her clothing and toiletries suggested that she had gotten ready for work that morning as usual and left uneventfully. Her car was not in her driveway but was found at an apartment complex a mile away. Luckily, security cameras at the complex caught video of the man who dropped her car off there, presumably involved in her disappearance. But unluckily for detectives, the video did not show the man's face. This was because the security camera worked by snapping photos every 3 seconds. The man shown is walking behind the complex's fence, and every shot of his face just happens to be behind a different fence post. Chances of him just happening to have the perfect pace to accidentally hide his face behind a series of posts in exact 3-second intervals is low. One reporter called him the luckiest person of interest ever. Kesse has never been found. 2. The disappearance of Michele Miscavige. The Church of Scientology has not had the greatest reputation over the years, and when the wife of Scientology leader David Miscavige went missing, there was much speculation surrounding her whereabouts. Michele Miscavige has not appeared in public since 2007, despite being one of the prominent figureheads for the church, which has a horde of celebrity fans from Tom Cruise to John Travolta. Actress Leah Remini filed a missing persons report in 2013 which was dismissed by the Los Angeles Police Department after they claimed they had made contact with Michele in person. Leah claims she was concerned when Michele was absent from Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' wedding. Leah claims she has no idea where her close friend is or if she's even still alive. The Church of Scientology issued the following statement on their official website: Leah Remini has repeatedly disparaged and exploited her former faith for profit and attention through a series of failed publicity stunts, culminating in her reality TV show featuring a cast of admitted liars who to make a buck have been telling differing versions of the same false tales of abuse for years. Still, doesn't explain why nobody has seen Michele for over 10 years. 1. Kim Wall. Kim, 30, was a Swedish journalist who disappeared in 2017 whereas on board the submarine UC-3 Nautilus constructed by Danish entrepreneur Peter Madsen. She was on the submarine for the aim of interviewing Madsen. It was purported to be a 2-hour engagement. Wall was reported lacking after the ship failed to point out of at port later that day. The submarine was discovered sunken the subsequent day. Peter Madsen was rescued from the ship after which arrested for Wall's homicide. Pieces of Wall's physique had been discovered within the space of the sunken Nautilus and extra washed ashore. Madsen claimed Wall suffered an accident aboard Nautilus and he was forced to dismember her physique and dump it within the ocean. A police investigation discovered that Peter Madsen had movies of ladies being dismembered on his PC and should have been trying to act out a dismemberment, strangling fetish on an unsuspecting feminine sufferer. There's proof that Madsen ejaculated in his underwear whereas committing the crime. He was charged with homicide, indecent dealing with of a corpse, and sexual assault. Wall is believed to have been tortured. Peter Madsen serving a life sentence for his crimes, however he briefly escaped in 2018 by telling his jail psychologist he had a bomb. And this is where we end our video. Which one of these creepy cases was the most intriguing to you? Thank you so much for watching until the end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, so you don't miss out on my future videos.